सदाशिवसमारम्भां शिखराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay, remember what he is talking about here predominantly is how duality is an experienced fact. But something that is experienced need not be real. The whole thrust of the argument is that. We are not saying duality is not there for experience. Okay. So there is this famous rule in Sanskrit which says Dvaita Pratiti is not against Advaita Siddhi. The establishment of Advaita is not contradicted by your perception of duality. Because all experiences are not based on reality. Even Vyavahara Kali, in the time of your transactional experiences, I always say this, we walk on a flat earth. Earth is not flat. We see a blue sky, sky is not blue. So we see a rising sun, sun doesn't rise. So just because we have some experiences doesn't mean it is reality. I'm talking of perfectly functionally valid experiences. No? So this functionally valid experiences also are not based on reality. That's why he goes about saying that all duality is Maya Kalpitam. Otherwise, you will be taking the statement something like this. Sadeva Saumya Damugramasi Ekameva Adutiyam Brahman. Before all this, what was there was one non-dual Brahman. Then Tasmad Etasmad Atmana Akasha Atyadi Sambhutaha. Then Akasha etc. manifested from that. That means what? My old example. From 1 kilo atta, you made 50 rotis. अभी क्या है? रोटी है, खा लो. आटा किधर है? आटा नहीं है. That's not how it is. That's not how it is. Yeah. That's why we say the world is only an appearance. Like cloth appearing as a kurta. Really, what has changed in the cloth to become a kurta? The color of the kurta is the color of the cloth. The feel of the kurta is the feel of the cloth. Weight of the kurta is the weight of the cloth. The fall of the kurta is the fall of the cloth. Where is kurta? Except for form, for which you given a name. And if you don't have enough material, you will call it kurti. That's funny. थोड़ा material कम पड़ा, kurti बना दो. I mean, what else is it? So we have, I mean, these are simple gross examples. In fact, everything is that way. There is no real change. If you go at the molecular level, atomic level, the structure, where is change? It's just an appearance. Just an appearance. Yeah. Continuing that idea, if there are no questions, are there any questions, clarifications? Okay. Then he says, Ajatastasyeva bhavasya jatimichanti vadinaha ajato hi amruto bhavaha martyatam katimishyati. He says, Ajatasyeva, something that is unchanging. Ajataha means can't be born. Meaning not under the hold of time. Something like that. Sadeva Saumya, that's Sat. Jati Michanti Vadinaha. Those who talk about creation, etc., Vadinaha, they are talking about a real change in something that is bereft of time. Then he says, Ajato hi amruto bhavaha martyatam katamishyati. So the one that is unborn that's immortal, meaning not under the hold of time, how can it become under the hold of time? See, if something is limitless, that is not conditioned by time, how does it ever undergo a change in time? Either it was not conditioned before. By what process are you going to bring about the timeless into time? The changeless into change? If it's really changeless, how does it become changeful? There's no way it can be. Think about it. The reality is not conditioned by time. Okay, then. But you say Tasmad Atmana Akasha Sambhuta, etc. Time, etc. was born. That means what? It was born without being born. Just an appearance. That's why when before we have inquired into the truth of time, we saw what is time is nothing but looking at yourself through the flow of your thoughts, flow of your observations. There is nothing called time. There is something apparent. We've seen that before. All of you, I'm sure, remember it. Yeah. So how can it become timeless? Timeless become in time. The timeless can manifest in time, correct? Apparently, you can build up anything on the timeless. All changes can be apparently built up on the timeless, on the changeless. This is like the old village story, you know. There was a sadhu in this village. And sadhu will go house to house. Food. And the village there is a custom. Olden days. In fact, my grandmother's time it was still there. Nowadays that is gone. My grandmother's time there was this custom that people will come to the door at lunchtime and announce that anybody who wants a meal, there is a free meal available here. There was one guy in the village, very miserly guy. You'd actually watch from the window. Is there anybody around? No. When there's nobody around, you'll open the door and say, is there anybody who wants a free meal? And close the door. Before anyone can even respond. So the sadhu thought this is not a good thing. He has to learn to be able to give, share, etc. Okay. It's only food, nothing else, nothing no big deal. So he decided one day, no, today I will have to teach this guy a lesson. So he went and hid behind a pillar in front of his house. So the guy looked out of the window, there's nobody around. He opened the door, he's there. And the sadhu pops up. Thank you, sir. Bhavate Bhiksham Dehi. He walks in. Gadbad ho gaya. He said, please come sit. He has to say that now. Abhi kya karega? He has to save face. No? So he said, please come sit. Then he goes inside. His wife says, I have cooked only for 2 people. One of us will have to go hungry if you feed him. And you know this guy, he eats only in the afternoon. He's a big eater. He eats for the whole day only one meal. So now, guys, difficult situation. How do you get rid of this guy? So there is one custom. If a sadhu goes to a house and husband and wife are fighting and they don't want him to get involved and help them, then the sadhu has to leave. Any guest has to leave that. I mean, come on, you can't be there when the husband and wife are fighting. It is a private matter. So the husband went to the backyard, took a plantain stem, cut it into 2. So when you flap it, it looks as though someone is slapping the other person. It sounds like that. And he kept doing it. And the wife started shouting, "Oh, yo, why are you eating me?" So, after some time, he peeped into the sitting room. Is the guy still there? Oh, the guy is not there. Dekha, plan worked. And the husband is telling the wife, "See how I hit you without hitting you." And the wife says, "How did I cry without being in pain?" And from the rafters above, the sadhu jumps down. "How did I come without going?" Okay, this is all mithya. Everything here is mithya. Okay, yeah. It's an old story, village story. Okay. So this is where the whole thing is. The whole creation based on appearances. Because there cannot be a change. The change appears on the changeless without creating any difference. For which we have subjective examples as well. Rope snake, etc. Gandharva Nagari, the city that you see in the clouds on a nice summer day. Go out of town, lie down on the hills, watching the clouds. You will see all types of shapes and forms taking place. No? There is a whole city there. Appearance. Yeah. The mirage on the desert. These are subjectivity. Kurta, this thing, functional. Flat earth, functional. Rising sun, functional. Blue sky, functional. But does not really there. So enough examples for that. Okay. Because of that, he makes a conclusion now. Okay. Na bhavati amritam martyam, na martyam amritam tatha, prakritehi anyatha bhavaha, na kachintit bhavishyati. Na bhavati, not possible, doesn't become. What? Amritam martyam. The immortal, the timeless cannot become something that is changing in time. Mortal. The immortal cannot become mortal. Nor can he says, Martyaha amritam tata. Oh, now you are a mortal. You do all this sadhana, you go into samadhi, etc., etc., etc. You convert your religion, etc., etc. You will get eternal, immortal life. Not possible. The immortal will continue to be immortal. The mortal will never become immortal. Why? Timelessness is not a product at the end of a process. Why? All changes are within time. So any change in time cannot take you outside time. And if you are timeless, no change can affect you to become within time. And he says, makes a very important point here. Prakritehe anyatha bhavaha na katanchit bhavishyati. Prakritehe anyatha bhava. Your true nature. Tasya anyatha bhava. Becoming different. Na bhavishyati. Never there. Fundamental rule of nature. Fire will burn fire. Can you remove heat from fire? In fact, what you call combustion, oxidization is heat only. It releases heat. There is no other way about it. You can raise and bring down the boiling point of something, etc. That's a different thing. Temperature, pressure, all that variation can be done. But fire is fire. No, but Swamiji, we have cold ice that burns. That's not ice. That's a frozen chemical. Ice is H2O. So the intrinsic nature. So everything has something known as an intrinsic nature and something which is extrinsic. Okay. Extrinsic nature, like for example, water becoming ice. It's caused by certain circumstances. But water remaining water is constant. Intrinsic nature doesn't change. Even if it becomes ice, it's still H2O. No? That doesn't change. So here, what you're seeking is freedom from all limitations. You want the fan on?
No, I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
So, timeless, when you say timeless, it can never be experienced. No?
Yeah, good point. The timeless is not a subject matter for experience. It's a subject matter only for recognition. Because how are you going to experience timelessness? For half an hour I went into samadhi. So half an hour samadhi is not samadhi. No? That we do every day in sleep anyway. We are not aware of time. Only when we get up we know. So what is timeless? The intrinsic nature will always remain the same. No process can create timelessness. So, and what are you seeking? Freedom from all limitations. Your search proves it must exist. A desire, an object of desire may exist or may not exist. Tomorrow I may have a desire. I must be able to flap my hands and fly. Not put on artificial wings like a glider or something like that. No. I should be able to flap my wings and fly. May not have its fulfillment. May not have. Unless we technologically create something. May have, may not have. But a natural urge will always have its fulfillment. You have hunger, there is food. You have thirst, there is water. You have air hunger, there is air. We are not very smart, so we pollute air, water, etc. That's a different thing. But it exists. Any natural urge has its fulfillment. Did you decide one day to become free from limitations? Or you just recognize that's what I want? In fact, it took some teaching for you to recognize that what I really want is freedom from limitation. It's a recognition of something that's already there, because for which you are trying to get yourself fulfillment through various things, through work, through relationship, through money, through this, through that. No. It's not something you decided one fine day. Oh, I have to change my job. Like that, one fine day you said, I think I should become limitless, freedom from all limitations. It is the urge behind your birth. It is the urge behind evolution as well. Why? Because if you are talking of evolution as survival of the fittest, then the cockroach is more fitted to survive than you and me. You'll survive a nuclear blast. Yeah, he'll survive. An amoeba will survive better than you and me. Conditions are unfavorable, he'll go into assist. Conditions are favorable, he'll start multiplying. So it is not merely for evolution, for survival that we evolved. In fact, human beings are least suited for survival. 10-degree change in temperature, we are wiped out first. Animal life, plant life, etc. will survive. We will be wiped out first. Yeah. But we have survived so that the equipment becomes sophisticated enough for us to recognize through the help of the teaching, etc., that I am that limitlessness. So this urge is natural. The answer is also natural. Cannot be created. Moksha is not something you create. Moksha is you recognize that it is your own true nature. You don't really gain moksha. like how you gain money, etc. We have heard terms like praptasya prapti and apraptasya prapti and all, isn't it? Normal gains are apraptasya prapti. What I don't have now, apraptam prapti, I gain. Whereas moksha is praptasya prapti. Where are my keys? I go searching out of the house. Then I find it is in my own pocket. So that's praptasya prapti. It's already with you, you are searching for it out of ignorance. Praptaha. It's already praptam and you gained it because you thought you didn't have it. So similarly, moksha is like that. I thought I am bound, now I have to discover my freedom. And I don't discover freedom, I discover I was never bound. Huge difference. Moksha is understanding you are never bound. Why? Because your essential nature can never be given up. It can be hidden under wrong thinking. It can be hidden under ignorance. It can be hidden under a lot of conclusions. That's a different thing. But it is there in plain sight. Pending discovery, it is there. That's why there is no process to make a mortal. If you really are a mortal, you will not become immortal. Nor will you really have an urge for it. You may have a desire for it. Practical immortality nobody wants. Really? Practical immortality, oh, okay. You are a Chiranjeevi. For the whole Kalpa you will exist. It's a curse. For Ashwatthama it's a curse. Why? All his loved ones are dead and gone. Let us say, Mahabharata, all his loved ones, friends, buddies, comrades and all are dead and gone. Father, everything gone. He walks away. Let us say, there's no proof of this, okay? He creates another family somewhere. But he is immortal. They are all mortal. What will happen after some time? They'll die. Another grief. I have cremated my own children. That's very painful for a parent, isn't it? Then go somewhere else, another life. You see it as a blessing? Yes, one lifetime of regret we find it difficult to handle. One lifetime of pain, of losing a child, etc., we find difficult to handle. Then imagine going through 100 lifetimes like that. That's why Ashwatthama is a tapasvi. He is not in society. He is there. The foothills of the Himalayas, people have cited him. A hefty guy, sadhu, but doesn't look exactly like a sadhu, tall, hefty guy is. He comes, and the only thing he'll ask for some oil. And they ask him, Maharaj, kiske liye? Tel kiske liye? Haath mein lao. In his hand he'll take. Say, ghaav bharne ke liye. To help my wound. And then he'll take it and disappear. Well, he doesn't want to be in society. He doesn't want to be one of the, with a family, this, that, etc. How much of grief can you take? Yeah. How many children are you going to cremate in one lifetime? It's a curse. So nobody wants that type of immortality. That's why religions that promise immortality somewhere else. We'll be reunited with all your loved ones. But one of your loved ones was a big sinner. He didn't convert. What happened to him? Oh, he will not have place in heaven. Then I'll start missing him in heaven also. बोर हो जाएगा. For some time it's okay. Like going on a holiday. Like people come to Rishikesh on a holiday. Now Rishikesh is a new holiday spot for people. Oh, so beautiful, man. We must make a house here. And builders are smart, so they made apartments, houses, everything available. It's all available in Rishikesh now. Where there is demand, there will be supply. So people buy. And then they want to stay there. Then they realize all the problems. Summer, we can fry eggs on the rock outside. Winter, it's ice cold. No heating, no central heating. What is central heating in Rishikesh? A room heater kept in the center of the room. That is central heating. Rainy season, the place is flooded out. Malarial right round the year. How long do you want to live there? Living is a tapas there. Bit easier now, but living itself is a tapas. If you live as a sadhu there, it's a tapas. Of course, now things are a bit easier. Every succeeding generation gets it a bit easier than before. But that's how it is. So, and how long, if you got nothing purposeful to do, what will you do in Rishikesh? You're not interested. How many yoga classes will you go to? If you are moksha icha, okay, you find some teachers. Otherwise, it's like saying anywhere else, no? You have to cook, you have to make food, this, that, everything. Same thing. No source of earning in Rishikesh because you're gone as a guest there. What type of job will you get in Rishikesh? Everyone who goes there, I've seen, tries to become a yoga teacher. There's such a proliferation of yoga schools and yoga teachers, nobody comes there. By every corner there is a yoga teacher. Get 4-5 people. Except some old setups like Shivananda Ashram and Paramartha Niketan, everyone gets 4-5 people coming to them. That's it. How are you going to earn it? So same things happen in any other loka if you are going to go. There is no immortality. Religions promise immortality. You will get bored. You will get bored. It's like one of my friends used to study in IIT Madras. I was doing marine engineering in Bombay, he was in IIT Madras. And IIT Madras is next to a deer park and everything. It's a beautiful place, but isolated. Those days, away from everything. Now, of course, a lot of things have come around it. But we are talking 50 years ago. Isolated. And he would come for his break. In December, he would come to Bombay. And he'll say, come on, let's go for a walk. I'll say, okay. So I say, hey, this place, let's go this way. It's all silent, peaceful area. Let's walk. No. I want to go in the marketplace. I want to be with the crowd. I've been away, isolated too long. I'm not joking. We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sweetest songs with some pain is fraught. Shelley, Skylark. It's true. So experientially, that's how it will become. It's a recognition that I am that consciousness which is free from all limitations. I can never be a mortal. I never was a mortal. I only appeared as a mortal. And once I gain this knowledge, I can continue manifestation. My manifestation as a mortal, I can continue. Until karma decides to be over or I decide it to be over. One of the two things. Yeah, that's entirely a different game. Okay. But if you are thinking of transformations, knowledge is not knowledge unless it transforms you. Transforms your mind, okay, nothing more than that. It doesn't transform you. It can transform your mind, your perceptions, your behavior, etc. But not you, the consciousness. Okay. Then the same idea is continuing. Svabhavena amrto yasya bhavo gacchati martyatam kritikena amrtatasya katam stayasi nischala. Okay. Swabhaven amritaha yasya. One who by swabhava, by his own true nature, is immortal, meaning timeless. Bhava gacchati martyata. How does he become immortal? How does he become in time? And kritikena amritasya. By some process, if he has become changeless, immortal, then he says, katam sthayasi nischala. How can that be permanent? How can that be always? Because it is a process. So, the process can change. You can reverse. Something else can happen. That's why functionally you will say, na, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. True. Yeah. Freedom, whether it is physical, economic, ideological. Yeah, because it's a process. Anything that's a process can keep changing. It will not be Nischalam. Nischalam means free from change. Eternal. Cannot be. So moksha is the end result of a product. You will have what is known as anirmoksha prasangaha. The possibility that there is no real moksha. Because today I am free. Tomorrow I can be bound again. Yeah. It's like, developing a capacity. It can be anything. Let us say driving. You're a great driver. For 10 years you didn't drive after that. You will know driving, but really will you be able to drive as how you drove 10 years back? I won't be able to. Yeah. Anything is like that. Yeah. Even mastery of the mind is like that. Apramattena vetavyam yoga hi prabhavapyayau, he says, Gita. Be very alert, because yoga, mastery of the mind, आगे पीछे हो सकता है. I had a very mastered mind. Arey, there was a time when I could slip into samadhi like this. Then 30 years I didn't bother about samadhi. अभी क्या हो गया? अभी meditation मुश्किल हो जाए. Yeah. Because these are all processes. Yeah. I remember discovering this long back. With all my hand conditioning, karate exercise, etc., I could just chop a coconut and break it. And chop. It will be broken. Then for few months, I worked with my everyday 8 hours with my hands immersed in lube oil. 6 months, 8 hours a day. All the conditionings went off.
Immersed in what?
Huh?
Immersed in what?
Lubrication oil. Lubrication oil. All that conditioning went off. Then I tried it with a coconut. Coconut is as it is. My hand has got a cut. Is it? ये किधर से आया? Then I'm looking. All the conditioning has disappeared. बहुत मर के किया था. अभी now I have to go through the whole process again. I didn't go through the whole thing. I went partly. So that much of calluses, etc., are not necessary. My girlfriend of that time didn't like it, so I didn't get too callous. This was before I joined the ashram. Okay. Then after joining the ashram, I'm not going to go and keep hitting walls and keep hitting the ground. It's a different life. So this will always happen. Things will keep, anything that you have achieved as a process will keep changing. Nischalata will not be there. Steadiness, that thing will not be there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, used to carry it. Yeah, Anu, you have a question.
Swamiji, please finish, then I'll ask.
Beg your pardon?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was good. You were saying something.
No problem. Shoot.
Okay. Then my question is, you were saying that, things like mastery of the mind is a process.
Yeah.
And so I just want to clarify that understanding is not a process, right? Once we have this understanding, that remains essentially the same, but it's the mastery of the mind that increases. So,
Yes.
and all the while, as the mastery of the mind is increasing, the understanding is essentially unchanged. That doesn't fluctuate.
Very good question, Anu. Very good question. Let me put it this way. Any memory oriented knowledge is a process. Like studying a language, whether it's Sanskrit or French, isn't there a process?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a process. But anything which is direct perception, like this is a pen, is there a process in this? There's no process. It's direct, immediate. Now, understanding the Atma, is it like studying Sanskrit or is it like understanding this is a pen?
It's direct.
Is direct, immediate.
Pen.
Yeah. Therefore, it is now to gain to this direct knowledge. Since the direct knowledge happens in a mind, there has to be certain mastery of the mind. There is a step by step process. There are paradigms used. Once you understand, yes, that is true, I am that consciousness, in that recognition, there is no process. Therefore, it can be gained for good. Now, if the mastery of the mind goes down, it need not go down at this level. At the level of knowing the self, that mastery need not go down. But if you let your mind become wild and untamed, which is a difficult thing, once you gain knowledge, your mind is not going to become wild and untamed again. Your knowledge will not be reflected in your behavior. For yourself, it will not be available. Remember what we talked about, the necessity of nididhyasanam, owning up the knowledge, making it a fact of my life. And that depends on a mastered mind. So once you have made it yours own, there is no problem about it. You're not going to forget it. Because there is no process involved, it's direct perception. But to get there, you need some sort of a process of teaching. It looks like a process. Because first there is negation of what you are not. Then there is a presentation of what you are. All that is there. So some logic is involved. In fact, a lot of logic is involved. But when you see the truth, yes, this is true. In that appreciation of the truth, there is no process. It is like saying, here's a pen. Only thing here says, yes, I am consciousness. That's the only difference. So there, the process disappears. There is no process. Therefore, it looks there is a process. But really speaking, it's direct, immediate knowledge. That appreciation is always direct and immediate. So the process is setting up the ground to appreciate that. The process is negating all possible doubts after that. Like how we are doing now. Discovering the mithyatvam of things and what is Advaitam. Am I clear on
Thank you,
this?
Swamiji. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. Are others getting it? What the whole thing is about? Kuch doubt hai to पूछ लो. Are you all frozen or can anyone respond?
Your video is frozen, Swamiji.
There is a problem with the network. Okay. Sometimes this Yes, I am back, right? Yeah, okay. Sometimes when I notice this on a Friday night, it gives some issues sometimes. Don't ask me what's happening on a Friday night because of which the issues are. I don't know. Okay. It's too early for people to be lost in all the media stuff. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's where it is, and let's go ahead. Okay. Then he says, Bhutata abhutata vapi sajjamane samashruti nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yat bhavati naitarat. Bhutata abhutata, coming into manifestation or going out of it, creation and dissolution. Okay. Srijyamano samashruti, or with respect to creation, etc., the Shruti is the same. Nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yad bhavati na itarat. Now look at it. Shruti is a pramana to know what is the reality of yourself. This Shruti is backed by yukti. Yukti means logic. Why? Look at it. A pramana need not be logical. Your eyes are seeing this is black color. Correct? All of you are seeing this black color. Is there a logic? You may ask, why is this thing black? That's a different thing. But that it is black, is there a logic involved in it? It's a black color. See, itna hi baat hai. Yeah. If I turn it on, maybe some other colors will appear. Otherwise, it's black. So similarly, the Shruti Pramanam states Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha. Straight. It's clear. For those who are ready, it's clear. The more your mind is prepared, the less logic you will require. Because remember, it's direct pramanam. But the human mind moves only in logic. All learning is done through logic, isn't it? Now, to arrive at that logic, you may say, oh, experiential oriented, this, that. You can have a various types of logic. But it's a logical mind. Therefore, you need the backup of logic for your understanding. The truth is not logical, nor illogical. Okay? I don't have to state that, but I'm stating it for clarity of understanding. Now look at why I'm using the logic. The truth is beyond logic. Why? It's not logically arrived at. Is the black color logically arrived at or direct perception? Logic means inference, presumption, etc. Inductive, deductive logic. Do you use anything to say this is a black color? No, direct. Similarly, the Upanishads declare what you are. Sadeva Somidam Asit Ekameva Adutiyam Brahman Satma Tattvamasi iti. Finished, ho gaya kaam. But even Shvetaketu had to be taught about it from 9 different standpoints, using 9 examples. Forms of logic. Examples means logic. Yeah. Of course, when I say example means logic, you demonstrate a logic through an example, not the other way around. You don't give the example and draw the logic out of it. No. It looks like that sometimes, but it's not the process. The process is you're illustrating a logic through an example. Otherwise, you can give any example and draw any logic out of it. A knife is dangerous. Vedanta is dangerous. Don't give it to everyone. What is the connection between knife and Vedanta? What is the use of that example? You're giving the example and drawing the logic out of it. Whereas if you present, okay, Atma is untouched by anything. How can that be? Like space, an example. Then you're illustrating it. It's not completely like space, but some aspect of being untouched by anything is illustrated. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So, the logic that is presented in the Shruti by other writers, later writers of Vedanta, in fact, later the logic became more and more. The Upanishad is very simple in its logic. The Gita is simple in its logic. But later writers, if you look at Naishkarma Siddhi, if you look at Advaita Siddhi, if you look at Chitsukhi, Khanna Khanna Khadi, all this huge amount of logic is used. Why? Because the human mind needed it for clarity's sake. For clarity's sake, you see, you needed it. Yeah. But you can get the clarity without even studying all those things, if you see the truth directly. Like I am going to teach Saddarshanam in the camp. Okay, January camp. Look, Ramana, before time and space was declared as finite entities, Ramana said it's a finite entity. And the people who knew science said, so Swamiji, that's not true, that cannot be possible. He says, he gave some very rustic logic, simple logic, to prove time is relative. He had not studied the whole Einsteinian theory, etc. He had not studied. But he knew directly, it's simple. Before I studied these texts, some of the arguments were thrown at me by some scholars. I answered them. Why? The truth is clear. In fact, they said, have you studied this text? I said, no, I have to study it. I'm not. But Swamiji, you are answering from there. I said, because the truth is clear and it's all there in the Upanishads. In the Bhashya makes it clear. If you understand it, then everything is understood. As far as the self is concerned. Then why study all that? In case you missed out certain things. For yourself, you don't need it. As a teacher, it's good to have it. So, now he says, what is established by the Shruti and Yukti. Both. Okay? Shruti, Yukti. Okay? Okay. Nishchita Yukti Yuktam cha yattad bhavati na yatarat. That's only truth, nothing else. Why? The Shruti has already made it clear. Direct statement. You are not getting it. Alright, we give you the logic for it. Abhi kya hai? Therefore, Shruti and Yukti proves a thing. Then later writers put one more thing into it. Now I am broadening the scope, okay? Shruti and Yukti, Gaudapada says. Later writers put Anubhava also into it. Now, Anubhava is a funny term. Traditionally speaking, Anubhava was, like you look at books on logic, etc., they'll say Anubhava Dvida. Two types of Anubhava is there. One is Jnanam, one is Spruti. One is your memory, one is knowledge. Therefore, you need not put Anubhava into when Shruti and Yukti both are said, because Shruti and Yukti together gives you knowledge. Shruti alone gives you knowledge. Yukti, in case you need that helping hand. As far as the self is concerned, okay? Then why put in Anubhava? Anubhava means, in this case, what has been validated by the people who know the truth. What has been validated by the knowers of the truth. So similarly, Shruti and Yukti is there. have you validated it in your life, in your mind first? Can you echo the Shruti and says, yes, that is true. I am limitless consciousness. Not say, Atma is limitless consciousness. The moment you put the Atma is limitless consciousness, you are not validated it. Very clear. So now don't change just your language. Along with the language, change the fact about what it is, okay? So that validation is called Anubhava. So when you hear Anubhava should be there, because you will feel, because all of you go on the net, look at that, etc., you will find statements like this. There should be Anubhavam. Anubhavam is not personal validation. Or kya hai? Because Anubhava is usually loosely translated as experience. What is experience anyway? Experience is nothing but perception, knowledge, plus your emotional response to it. Oh, what a beautiful sunset scene. Perception is what riot of colors, etc. That's perception. Then what made it an experience? Your emotional response. Isn't it? Remove your emotional response. What experience is there? There's only a recording of facts. Riot of colors. Even a riot of colors you can't use. That riot is got an emotionally some emotional loading in it. So there it is. So what is your emotional response to the knowledge? One of peace, harmony, joy, a sense of fulfillment. Then you validated it. No, that has not yet come. Therefore, Anubhavam is missing, meaning personal validation still has to be there. That's all. You understand, you understood certain thing, but not yet validated it enough. And I also said this happens because of this gap we create between what we know and what we feel and what we do and what we say. Between knowledge, feeling, words and action, we keep creating gaps. Therefore it happens. And we are living in a society, so sometimes that gap is necessary also. Yeah. Like for the men here, your wife or girlfriend comes and asks you, do I look fat? What can you say? That's a loaded question. You can't answer that, honestly. Appropriate. So that gap, if you heard, is appropriate. It's okay. In the larger interests of things. In the interest of greater good. Especially yours. Okay. I mean, people like us, we can say, you have put on a bit of weight. I'll tell you exactly, 2.5 kilos. Samajh, how did you know? Kya karu? Dikhta hai. Don't worry, I also don't normally say it. Unless I'm dead sure the person can take it. So, because of all these conditions, my personal validation lags behind a bit. Because of that, later writers put Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava into it. Okay. Gautapada's time he put only Shruti and Yukti. Yeah. Whereas what is the pramana for knowing the truth? Only Shruti. Look at how it has, out of necessity, certain things have come. What is the means of knowing the truth? Shruti. The Upanishad is the means of knowing the truth. Ho gaya kaam. But the very fact that on the 12 verses of the Upanishad, Gautapada is writing an elaborate Karika shows that Yukti is necessary, isn't it? Though, believe me, the 12 verses of the Upanishad are crystal clear. Enough for knowing the truth. And later on, Anubhava also came into the picture just because of this. If you are a fiercely logical person, once you know, it will be a part of your life. No? For want of knowledge of hygiene, you are going to a street vendor to eat pani puri. Now that you knew about hygiene and his unhygienic conditions, now you stop. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Like their pani puri wala have got special rates. Plain pani puri 10 rupees. Special pani puri 15 rupees. Extra special 20 rupees. Sunday special 30 rupees. What is the difference? Ordinary pani puri 10 rupees. Special pani puri is meaning the plate is washed. Extra special, plate, spoon and my hands are washed before making it. And what is the special extra on Sunday special? The Sundays I take a bath before I make my pani puri. That is all. That's a hygiene level, okay. But we don't stop for refrain from eating pani puri on the road. Or street food festivals now you have. YouTube videos on street foods. Oh my God. Our time we would say avoid street food. So because of this gap between what we know and what we feel and what we do, that Anubhava picture comes into the thing. Otherwise not necessary to say that. Maximum yukti. Bas ho gaya kaam. Yeah. But Kali ki prabhav hai. So Anubhava also comes into the picture. Shruti yukti Anubhava. What is Siddham? Is Siddham. That's it. Nothing more necessary. Okay, nothing more necessary. The pramana becomes very, very clear. Okay. Then more of this he goes on. Okay. Goes on more of it. But that we will see next class. Good place to stop. Okay. Om Tat Sat.